everybody to episode 14, and this one's called Teaching in America, The Struggle is Real. I'm Dave Ford.
And I'm Todd Steele.
Gosh, welcoming everybody to our second consecutive Sunday morning show. It's a pretty comfortable deal that we got going. It's kind of by accident because yesterday was just too packed on a Saturday, but we are both repping our NFL teams today that are not so good this year. At least you're 500. At least you're 4-4. I'm withering away at 2-6 and waiting for the NFL draft. Gosh, rescue me from Jameis Winston, please, God. In fact, I would take that dude who plays for LSU at quarterback and his running back right now.
Definitely.
As a package deal.
Definitely.
Well, so this is a show that, again, like all of our shows, is close to our hearts and close to what we've been doing in our lives, both personally and professionally, for the past several years. And it was one of the original ones we had in concept back in early June. We were talking about doing this show. And so we're finally here to do this. And I think the challenge, at least for me, I may be speaking for you too, dude, is to not bash the industry of teaching too much, but just to explain the best that we can the challenges that are in it.
Definitely.
That a lot of people, even in our own family, don't really understand. When we tell them, they think we're complaining. And some of it is, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that we got to discuss today that aren't general knowledge if you haven't taught before. So, let's just jump right in it. When we talk about this industry, because both of you and I, we're not teaching right now. You're still in the educational system because you're working on getting kids into college, which it looks to me like you enjoy that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, because you're trying to actually uplift kids, getting to a place they otherwise thought they couldn't get to. I'm out of the educational system. And I was asked point blank by one of our former colleagues the other day, because I had to go to a parent meeting.
Yeah.
And she asked me, she said, "Do you miss teaching?" She looked at me very intently. I said, "No, ma'am, I do not." Like I had no hesitation. And she kind of smirked as if she was in disbelief. And she's like, "Why is that?" I said, "I get paid more, I got less stress, and the hours are better."
Exactly.
I don't need to say anything else. And she's like, "Wow." And it's not bragging, it's just a matter I had to make the move for me, and you made the move for you, and we seem to be happier people. So
yeah. Listen, I miss my students without a doubt. Don't get me wrong, I miss them like crazy, but just the mind of teaching, or just the everyday struggle, getting up, going to school, trying to make sure your lesson plans are good, dealing with new rules that are thrown upon us, new ways to teach, or you need to be teaching this way. That process was it can be a bit overwhelming, and
that's an understatement.
Yeah, definitely overwhelming. You got certain rules and guidelines you got to go by, and it's a whole lot better for me on this side of it, because I'm able to say, hey, this is what it takes for you to get into school. So I definitely like this side of it.
The thing that I wrote down some notes like I always do, and these are in no particular order, but I'll just throw them out there and we'll see what we go with it. The first one I wrote down was the politics.
Oh my gosh.
The P word. And this actually goes hand in hand with, I don't know if I talked to you about this before or not, but I read a story last year during the middle of the school year called the Teacher's Lounge Effect. So, okay, so you're not familiar with this.
No, that sounds interesting.
This is good. Okay. So the Teacher's Lounge Effect is, obviously, if we're just talking about the object itself, the teacher's lounge is where the teachers gather for lunch, snacking, or just general gossip. Okay, so that's what the teacher's lounge effect is, but you and I would find ourselves in it and you didn't even know it. In the hallway,
yes,
that's the teacher's lounge effect. You don't have to be in a room to get pinned and go, so did you hear about so-and-so? And so before you know it, you got, like we always do, greet our students at the door. You got Sally and Jimmy coming, and you're like, you have to make that decision, do I need to speak on this right now? Because if you do, then you're in that teacher's lounge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's fascinating. I went, wow, I got caught up in that a lot, and I didn't mean to, because I'm a nice dude. If somebody wants to have a conversation with me, I do have alarms that go off in my head, Because people do talk. We know that. We found out who we could trust, which was about me and you and maybe a couple other people.
Yeah, definitely me and you.
The gross majority, though, we couldn't trust. And that's school to school, campus to campus.
Yeah.
That's the teaching industry, which, you know, and being males, we have to be extra careful too, because it's a female-dominated industry where there is a need for us.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Yeah.
And but we have to be careful. It's the whole leaving the classroom door open when you've got female students in there, and even male students now.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's a long list
Yeah.
that you and I had to worry about just based on perception alone.
I know, and that's the part that doesn't make it. It doesn't make it fun at all.
Takes the fun right out.
You know, men, we are typically like this. We don't talk much per se. So you can ask us how our day was, and your answer's probably going to be fine.
Straightforward.
Women are more in detail, so they have to get in detail of just gossip that goes along at the school, and it was a lot. It was frustrating. My most frustrating thing was when teachers wanted to talk about students in the hallway.
Right.
And I hated that. I mean, it's bad to always have like you look at a kid and you say, this is just a bad kid, he's not going to do anything, and you tell this other teacher, so now they already got this idea of how this kid is, and it's kind of like you spoiling the milk before you even get a chance to drink it. And I used to feel so bad for the kids, so I did it on purpose where I wouldn't talk bad about any kid to any teacher.
Right.
I just sat back and just kind of did my own thing, and I just nodded my head and kept going, which kind of made me seem like I was standoffish, or I wasn't a part of the clique, and I was fine with that.
Yeah. And
you know, let's talk about this. And I love it. I love the fact that you brought it up and you said it was politics. A lot of politics into it. I hate how they pick like teacher of the year.
Oh gosh.
I mean, let's be real. I watched just this weekend how Bay County went from school to school picking what could be the teacher of the year. This is voted on by other teachers.
Yeah.
So if you're not a part of a clique, you'll never be. I mean, our students used to ask about them, why aren't you in Coach Ford? Why are you guys not nominated?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, if it was up to y'all, we would definitely be teachers of the year. But we're not part of a system of a clique of people.
Right.
And so therefore, we would never make it. We'll just be great teachers in the background. And I'm fine with that.
Well, we were looked at as coaches first.
Yeah, we were definitely looked at as coaches first. And but we just didn't never get into the politics of it, because I believe every kid should be treated fairly, which is why we were, I think, so successful in our classroom. We gave everybody a chance.
Well, it would get real awkward in the hallway when a next door neighbor teacher would say, well, you know, what's going on with so-and-so? Do you teach that person? I'd say, yeah. They'd say, well, how was he for you? I'm like, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's not for kids for me. I'm like, well, I mean, and of course I'm trying to process what do I say so I don't offend this person. Yeah. But I would just come out and say, look, I mean, I guess maybe it's just different in my classroom. Maybe I treat him differently than you do. Maybe I don't shout at him.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
We figured out a way to teach that reaches, and a lot of them are just going by the books. I said last week, a lot of people that can pass that test are not great teachers. And a lot of them I found out wasn't great teachers. They knew their lesson plan, but they didn't know people. And I was dealing with a particular parent this week, and her daughter is kind of struggling now that I'm gone from that system. But she was telling me how another teacher would ask her every day, why are you doing so well in Coach Ty's class? Mm-hmm. Are you really doing the work in there? What is he giving you? Let me see your assignments.
Interrogation.
So it was like hate coming from another teacher, and we both dealt with that a lot. Like, you know, they were like, oh, there go the golden boy. He can't be touched. There goes the golden boy. And it got so bad with one teacher who I thought was my friend, I ended up blocking her from like all social media. Mm-hmm. And then after she had gossiped so much about me, she was like, do you know why Ty deleted me from Facebook? Mm-hmm. What is going on? Mm-hmm. Like, probably because you're talking about him and you're doing this. And I'm just the guy I am. I'm never going to come at a woman and start fussing at another woman. Mainly because that's somebody's wife, that's somebody's mom. So I'm never going to show my behind, especially on a woman like that. So I just removed myself from the situation and just didn't deal with her anymore. I spoke to her at work. It was cordial and all that. As far as us being friends, once I found out we wasn't friends, I left that situation alone.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's, again, this is a subject that's hard to put into words, you know, and for me that's saying a lot. But you know, we are trying to be careful, you know, because we're not here to throw anybody under the bus. But you could take this conversation, you could move it to any school in Bay County, you could move it to any school in the country.
Definitely.
It is a systemic problem, and that's a scary word to say. Oh, systemic. Well, it is a systemic problem that people who are in charge in the Senate and our representatives are not doing things about this. They're not coming into our schools.
Yeah.
They're not visiting anybody. They're not seeing, hey, what is actually going on?
Yeah.
And so we teachers, you know, we're left on an island for the most part.
Definitely. And communication is definitely hard too. I mean, we have a bunch of meetings and sometimes you feel like, okay, this meeting is kind of pointless, or this meeting, y'all having a meeting about me.
Just to have a meeting.
Yeah, we have a meeting just to have a meeting. And then you change all of these standards, and you got to do this that way, you got to do that way, and then as a teacher, you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I relate this to the student? Because obviously the person who thought about putting this standard in wasn't thinking about the student, doesn't teach, is not in the classroom daily. So this right here isn't going to work. So how do I get along the lines of those standards and actually make it work? That's the hard part for us. And then you put so much work into it, and you're like, dang, the work I'm putting in doesn't equal the pay.
Not even close, dude.
Yeah,
not even close.
I was glad to see that they reached an agreement this week where teachers getting a 3% raise, they're getting a Christmas bonus, they're getting all those different things, and then they get another 3% raise next year. But just for the stuff that a teacher has to deal with, the pay is not worth it. You got to argue with parents. You got to fuss with this person. You got to try to get that child to cooperate. It got to the point where it just was not worth it, and then they're asking for so much out of you. It's like hard to give that, and then we're taking the work home basically.
Well, and not to be a pessimist on what you just said, but knowing the business the way I do with journalism and PR, when they put that information out there, dude, that's a press release.
Yeah.
That is trying to get the wolves, being the teachers and the advocates for teachers, to back up a little bit. Well, we're not stupid.
Oh yeah.
A 3% raise, okay. I'm not spitting at it, but I'm pretty close to it. You know, and we do have who is it? DeSantis, I think, wants to get the salary to $47.5.
Definitely.
That's great and all.
Yeah.
But it's not a livable wage still.
Yeah. Especially in Panama City.
Especially here, yes, where we've beaten a dead horse where everybody in this area is getting priced out. You're in that demographic right now where unfortunately I'm afraid of, you know, losing my friend because you can't afford to live where you are, which just 14 months ago was affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy and wrong and unlawful how things are changing. And so when you take these teachers where you're wanting to pay them 36 or 36.5, and here you are with what, 3 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 degrees,
including a master's.
Yep.
And so you have more than me. And by the time you left last year to a position that you were begged to come back to, they just stepped on you like an ant pile.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then it's hurtful personally because you do get attached to these people, and we did leave behind some people that we care about. You know, and any kind of relationship, whether it's personal, professional, we are leaving behind relationships that we miss.
Oh yeah.
But like we say, in for a season, out for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to move on. We run into people all the time around town who are like, "Well, why aren't you teaching anymore?" And I gotta take a moment here and say this. So when we say we miss the kids, this is the epitome of that. So Friday, like I said, I had to go up there for a parent meeting, and I was nervous about it, not for what I was getting ready to talk about. I was nervous because I knew that I was going to garner attention, and I'm not trying to be that teacher that shows up and I want rose petals thrown at my feet and a red carpet parade. Oh, he's back, the prodigal son. I was so nervous about that I sat in my car and I'm like, okay, I need to go up there now. And I started walking and I felt the eyeballs out of the cafeteria, out of the hallways, and this. Before I know it, I'm surrounded by 25 kids in the courtyard where everybody, where aren't you coming back? Where are you? And you feel this big because in that moment you feel humbled, you feel embarrassed, you feel awkward, and again it's like, wow, I really affected these kids in a way that I can't quantify, and I feel all these emotions at the same time, but you still couldn't get me to come back here right now.
I mean, and that's why I stay away. I try to let them have it. I stayed away from football over there this year. I stayed away from. I'll go back basketball if Coach Antonio calls me and say, "Hey, I need your help on this," or can you talk to the girls. I have no problem with that. But I stay away. I let everybody basically do them.
Right.
And I love those kids from a distance, and I want better from them. I speak to parents and stuff all the time. I do want to say what Coach Parker said. Coach Parker said this. One thing about working with kids, you know what to expect from the kids. But when the adults act like the kids, that becomes the problem.
It is.
And that was like one of the big struggles we had. A lot of parents felt entitled.
Oh gosh.
They raised entitled kids, and when you put them I put all my kids on the same level. Everybody's equal. I'm not gonna treat you no better because I know your mom or I know your dad or your mom and dad does this. Everybody is equal in my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be my pet, my whole class is my pet.
Right.
So any given day, I would take my worst students and make them my class pet.
Yep. And
it changed something in them. They was like, you know what, Coach Tyus gave me some leeway. I'm like, what are we going to do in class today? Such and such. And he'd be like, really, me?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, tell me what we're going to do. That was life changing for a lot of kids. So it's hard for me to definitely go back. I went through a lot in my little short period over there. I also realized, like, in my last year being there, I was just a long-term sub.
Right.
Sad part is I made more as a long-term sub than I did actually being a teacher.
And that makes no sense.
I mean, they was like, oh, we have to honor your master's degree on this. So I made more per day as a long-term sub than I did actually being a teacher.
Right. And that's a flaw. That's a flaw in the system.
It's definitely a flaw in the system. So why would a person break their neck to do that? I mean, you just find a job in the summer. But just the ending of what happened to me over there, and you think certain people are your friends, and you find out people's true colors. And so I've learned to love people from a distance and just be all right with it.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, I'm praying for y'all. I want all the programs to be successful. I want it to rock out. But there is definitely flaws in the system. I don't like how certain subjects are being taught over there. I don't want to say exactly what the certain subjects are because I don't want to throw nobody under the bus. But I don't like if everybody in your class is failing.
Yes.
There's a problem with how it's being taught.
Yes.
So I'm dealing with kids all the time. I'm getting them into tutoring for particular subjects that they're struggling on. And then you're like, dang, it's like 9 of y'all in the same class, failing the same subject.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that.
Something's not right. Yeah.
We need to fix that. And then being a teacher, sitting in those meetings when you have pass and fail, and you look at certain folks and you're like, are you excited to actually fail a kid?
Yeah.
I hated pass fail meetings. And it's like, all right, let's hurry up and try to get this over with. Like, when they're passing your class. Because, like I said, with the parent I talked to this week, and they talked about how the teacher would grill them about why they're passing my class. And how is it that you have an A in Coach Ty's class in my class? Is he really giving you the work, or is he just giving you the
same thing I heard?
And I told him, I said, the difference between me and you is I'm going to make such and such sit down and do their work. I will get this particular student. I'm like, all right, here's your work. Everything else aside, let's do it. And a lot of these kids have IEPs and they have all types of stuff in their plan. They're supposed to get more time to take these tests or to do their work. So I actually followed the IEPs to the T. And I did not want to fail that student. That was my last resort. I have to fail you. And I would tell them all the time, if you fail my class, that is on you.
Yeah.
It is not on me. I'm going to give you every opportunity to be successful. But a lot of teachers don't have time to do that. And I get it. They don't have time to be one-on-one or focus on one kid. Because everything is, I got to move on. I got a lesson plan to teach. I got to keep going.
Right.
But I believe in not leaving any of my students behind. So if it's going to take a little bit more time for this student, we're going to do that till we get it right.
Well, you bring up something too. It's a good segue into the teaching to standards rather than teaching to educate.
Yeah.
And that was something I will admit made me angry. Yeah. I struggled with that on a daily basis, especially when you have people who are being nosy. Well, what are your lesson plans? What's on your website? And what's on Canvas?
Oh my God.
absolutely hated that. And I will admit that I purposely avoided having a website. I avoided working with Canvas. I didn't agree with it. And I knew the chance I was taking, I could have gotten fired. But it went against my principles as not only a man, but as an educator. I want my students to know my subject of U.S. history. And I'm an expert in it. I mean, I'm the one that passed the test, which we're going to talk about the testing soon too, because that's a gigantic elephant in the room. When you go through that much testing and you have not passed that many times because of how that's set up, you learn that subject pretty darn well. And so you are a professional and you are an expert on it, and you can teach how you want to teach. You should have autonomy on that and be honest. And yes, you and I both took chances in our historical classrooms with how we were going to teach American history. I was proud of you for doing Black History Month, and then I was taking a big risk by making Columbus a villain rather than a hero. I said, look, guys, Native Americans were here first. And I pounded that home. I spent extra time and got behind on purpose because I wanted my students to know what really happened.
Hey, that was brilliantly taught too, by the way.
I mean, and that's the thing. I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, I think I'm not going to be here longer than this 1 year. I'm very self-aware, and you are too. You have a general sense of how things are going. And I'm like, I've got to squeeze everything I can out of this. It's not about legacy. It's not about making an imprint. It's about what can I do as one man to help these kids move on to next year that they're prepared. And my one bit of validation, that's a shout out to Miss Duncan. She sent me a video a couple months ago saying, these are all your former students. Obviously you did a great job because they came right in, hitting the ground running.
Ready to go.
And I was like, I don't need to hear anything from anybody else.
So Miss Duncan was, she was a blessing.
She was great.
Being next door to her or being across the hall from her was like, it was great. She got it.
She did.
She got it. She was one of those teachers that really got it and understood and had a heart for those kids. So shout out to Miss Duncan. You always been
well, and she's what we need in the industry. She is, and it needs us too, but we obviously, maybe we're out of sight, out of mind, maybe out of time. Maybe we're not in the right time and space.
I mean, that's why I was so harping on, like, hey, I want to start a school. I want to definitely start a school for boys, and I want to teach them how to be men. And a lot of people was really on that, but it's going to take a lot of parent participation, but we've got to teach these men how to be men and stop allowing behavior. We had ways to control our classrooms, and it didn't. We probably had less write-ups.
Oh yeah, I think I had 4.
Yeah, I think I had like 3 or 4.
Which also made the other coworkers seethe.
Yeah, they were mad.
They were like, what? And again, not only was it, man, your class must be too easy because this kid who was an F student in my class is making an A and B. Well, no, you're wrong. I'm not making it easier on them. They are bought into my system. And they respect me. And it's not a competition of, ooh, well, they respect me and they don't respect you. It's just, try to figure it out rather than shouting at the kid. And don't get me wrong, there are some kids
you have to go off sometimes.
Who, no matter what you do, they need help, okay? They need extra help, whether it is something out of the classroom, whether it's counseling, whatever it may be. Some of them you just can't reach them.
Some of them can't.
But that's very few. And you and I we would try. We took it personally, and again, teaching took a lot out of me. And so I do respect the ones who hang in there for that 30 years, the 40 years. I'm just like, I don't know how you do it.
They've seen the best of both worlds. They've seen it really great, and now they see to where it's at now. Kids are different. The parents are younger. People now they raise their kids differently. Some people don't yell, some people don't fuss, some people yell, some people do fuss. They've seen the good and the bad. They've had to continue to change with the time. A lot of teachers are probably 5-6 years in and they think they got it all figured out. And I think as a teacher, once you start thinking you got it all figured out, that's when you really don't have it figured out.
Oh yeah, it's like Pat Summitt said, who I was so honored to work with her and work around her. Gosh, she said some very heartfelt things to me, and she would always look me in the eye and say, I tell my players that if you think you've arrived, well, then you're mistaken. You should never feel like you've arrived. You have to always earn the name on the front of your jersey before you earn the name on the back of it, before you represent yourself.
You gotta grind.
And it's the same thing in teaching. Teaching is one of those things that, like, I sat in my car in the parking lot numerous days asking myself, can I do this today? And it was a conversation I needed to have, not only to motivate myself, not because I hated it, but just because did I come to do what I could for those kids that day, and not make it about me? And I'll admit that was tough. That was really tough, especially being displaced, where you and I both were out in Destin. That was a long drive, and then going to the practices every day. Yeah. And so those were sacrifices that people on the outside, they didn't understand. And then you walk past and like, man, you look tired. You're like, you think? Yeah. I ain't sleeping much. Yeah. And then I got to go through 7.5, 8 hours where I'm trying to basically counsel. And you don't want to say babysit, but it was kind of like that last year. And I think I've thought about this sometimes. I'm like, I wonder if me and Ty would still be teaching had last year never happened, had the storm never happened. Because I think it scarred me. Yeah. And if you remove that, I might still be there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was pretty much going to be out.
You know what I mean?
I mean, probably a different circumstance, different situations, but I expect people to do what they say they're going to do.
True.
And I feel like, hey, let's have an open line of communication, let's talk, and let's do what's best for these kids. I've seen kids, or I had kids in my classroom that I've written up that deserve the write up.
Right.
Only to see when they got wrote up, nothing happened to them. Now, any other kid, I was like, it needs to be fair across the board. Right. It needs to be the same punishment across the board. And, in schools we were at, it really wasn't discipline problems like it is in the public school system. Public school system is a whole different animal. And I went on a rant yesterday with the kids, and I said, there is it's a new segue. I said segue. Look,
there you go.
Lead to another segue.
There you go.
There is a lot being told in the school system to parents about our kids' education. Mainly when you get to high school, they used to be called guidance counselors. They're called guidance counselors now, but now they're just schedule makers. Yes. And then they do all types of magical tricks to keep these kids eligible or on task to get out of high school. But me in coaching and me in teaching, I'm always thinking next level. Right. Next level, next level, next level. So while you're in high school, I'm thinking about college. Mm-hmm. What is it going to take for your child to get to college? So I'm finding out now there are seniors who don't have 2 foreign languages. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at football players or basketball players. I'm looking at their schedule, and I'm like, why do you have 3 electives? Like, what is going on? And it was like, oh, it said this is what I was like, listen, apparently they don't think you're smart enough to take the required classes you need. You need to have 2 foreign language classes in order to be able to go to college or get to a university. A lot of these guys that want to go Division I and play all those things, in order to go to any university that you see on these cups, or you see the UCF or the West Florida, you got to have 2 foreign languages. Right. Now let me reawake you to something now. If you are at Gulf Coast College and you are trying to get a degree in, psychology, but you hadn't taken 2 foreign languages, so you want to take Spanish. Well, it has nothing to do with your degree. So those classes are not covered by a Pell check. Right. So you have to pay for that out of pocket. When all you had to do was in high school was take the classes that was required of you to be able to go to college and be successful. A lot of our guidance counselors, the guidance has been taken out of it. They are now just schedule makers. Exactly. And parents have to get involved. And we've already talked about having a seminar on classes that your kids need to take going through high school. And by the time they get to the 11th and 12th grade year, you should already have this knocked out. And why are these kids not taking ACT, SAT? If you are a parent in high school, your kid by somewhere in 9th grade, well, they finish 9th grade, they go into 10th grade,
that summer they should start on those SAT, ACT testing. That way they can start getting the feel for these testing to help them get better scores, to get better scholarships, to look better when it comes to college.
Right.
The kids have to be attracted. So right now, there's a lot that's going on to our kids, and they're not realizing the requirements it takes to get into college. So I love my job. A lot of this stuff I didn't know beforehand, and I'm getting an understanding of it now. There are kids right now who are displaced, or they are called unaccompanied youth, or homeless youth. This means that the child doesn't stay with either parent, like me when I was raised. So if I was raised by my grandmother, I wouldn't be considered a homeless youth. I would be considered unaccompanied youth. And in the state of Florida, my tuition is free. They don't know that.
Okay.
What is it called? The McKenna Veto. I always say it wrong. I have to look it up, but it's a letter. Basically says that if kids are, if they're adopted, their college is free up until they're 28 years old. They can get as many degrees as they want. If they ever been been owned by the state or been adopted, college is paid for. But a lot of our kids don't understand this. And what they're failing to realize are the schools, guidance counselors, teachers, they're failing to realize that a lot of these kids are unaccompanied youth. So if your child stays with, or you know a kid that stays with anybody other than their parent, they're considered unaccompanied youth. In the state of Florida, their tuition for college is free.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not general knowledge.
No, it's not general knowledge, but the guidance counselor is supposed to know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's they're making people have to dig, like they're trying to find the holy grail for this information. This should be out there.
Yeah, I mean, Bay District created a whole division that is designed for unaccompanied youth. You have to look, if you're a student or if you're a parent of one of these students that I'm talking about, when you look into their focus account, there's a little house up there. And if a line is drawn through that house, that means that they're unaccompanied youth.
Okay.
After the storm, everybody was considered to be unaccompanied youth. That's why we have free lunch down there, because for like 2 years. So they mark everybody as that. Now, I can't tell you that those statuses have been updated right. Like identifying the true students. They need this letter before it's time for them to get to, for them to go to college. There's a letter saying that they were unaccompanied youth. Tuition is paid for. First year tuition is paid for.
That's incredible. Incredible.
These are things that we need to be talking about. We need a seminar where we just go and say, this is what your child needs. Because there's a lie being told in the school system. I don't know if it's done on purpose. I'm not even going to say I'm not going to bash somebody for it. But I really feel like there's a strong lie being told when it comes to our kids' education.
Well, I mean, I don't think it would be far off base to maybe prognosticate that it might be on purpose. Because there's a lot of back scratching that goes on. College is a business. If we're being totally transparent here, it's not about education first. It's about making money first.
Exactly.
And that's from the students. That's on down to the athletes, which is why we have that new law that just passed in NCAA, where these guys are going to make, guys and girls are going to make money off their likenesses. And
but listen, on that right there, I was kind of torn between both, and I was like, I can understand. The Ohio State football player who was about to be suspended because he borrowed money to get his girlfriend to go to the bowl game.
Yeah.
That hurts.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
And I know that's an uneducated word to say, but that's stupid. That is a gigantic flaw in the entire system and we've known about this for so long.
Yeah.
I even reported on this when I was covering the University of Tennessee over a decade ago, where I'm around these D1 athletes every day. Dude, they don't have time to work.
No.
Their full-time job is going to class and going to practice. So if this dude wants to take his girlfriend out on a date, he literally cannot do it.
Yep.
So then you are forcing him to make a really compromising decision.
Yeah.
Where does he go for the money? What does he do? Because the eyes are watching them constantly. So it's not an easy thing to talk about, and we're getting off task here, and we need to talk about that at some point because it is news, it is important, it is very, very relevant, and not only that, but that is a true domino effect, because when we talk about that, you and I are sports gamers. We like gaming.
Yes.
The NCAA football game that everybody loves so much with EA Sports, that's wide open to return now because of this law.
Yeah.
So on one end, the selfish Dave goes, oh, nice, I can buy a football game again.
Yeah.
The other one's like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I hate that game too, by the way.
How do you hate that?
That game is just unreal.
Oh,
I
stop it.
playing it. My cousin would just throw a ball down the field, the guy catch it. Like, what kind of?
Yeah, well, you know, the ratings need to get better. I think the last time it was made was NCAA 2014.
Yeah.
So things have changed. Things have gotten better. It'll be good. But I wanted to circle back around to talking about teaching to standards. And because we never really finished on that. See, you and I and everybody else, but it seemed like especially you and me, I always felt like we were judged on different standards.
Yeah.
Again, because we were put into a box. Oh, well, they're just coaches. Maybe I'm wrong here, dude. Maybe this is me having a chip on my shoulder because that's how I've always been successful, is trying to prove people wrong.
Let me stop you one quick second.
Go ahead.
Marcus Roulette, you are awful, buddy.
What's he saying?
He's like, you don't like the game because you suck. You're right. I suck in NCAA. Play me in Madden, Roulette.
Nobody wants to play it and they lose all the time.
I'm sorry, Coach.
No, it's all good. When you're judged and you are even employed based on how your students test.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't agree with it, and this is something where I've actually hurt some kids' feelings in this house and also students where I say, well, I don't believe in the testing system. And they're like, well, what do you mean, Mr. Ford, or even Mr. Dave, whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, to me, testing proves nothing.
Exactly.
And again, what do you mean? Okay, well, I'll tell you. What really proves if you know what you're doing in your subject every day is the homework. Are you understanding it? Are you grasping it? And this is every subject. Are you grasping it on a day-to-day basis? Are you doing your reports? What are you getting on your reports? Because your reports show your knowledge if your parent's not helping you. Which we dealt with that a lot too. Testing to me is a broad blanket where there are a lot of kids who are great test takers. There are some in this house. And then you have other kids who are not good test takers. So what I care about is what are you doing in the classroom on a day-to-day basis? What are your grades at the end of every quarter and semester? That's what I care about, not only as a teacher, but as an educator. That proves to me that you know your subject. If you know your test, that proves nothing to me. What that tells me is you're really good on that general knowledge and that you are a very good reader, which takes intelligence. And I'm not completely cutting the legs off from testing. It does prove a certain amount of aptitude. It really does. But at the end of the day, I went to school with so many good test takers. I went to school with guys who would get high before coming to class and would get better than me. And I've still never touched a drug to this day. They were just good test takers.
Yeah.
So how do you quantify that to me, that testing proves something when it really doesn't? It's good for numbers, dude. It's good for the bureaucracy. It's good for the politics to say, look at my school compared to this school. Look at my test grades. Okay, well, maybe all your students had a great day on that day.
Yeah.
And maybe these didn't.
That's how it is.
What are your grades? What do the grades look like?
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it.
I had one class, I could just sleep in the whole class and just wake up and take a test, and I was fine. A lot of those tests are like common sense questions.
It's general knowledge.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, this is easy. Go back to sleep now.
Speaking of general knowledge, let's make that quick transition to the testing. This is something you and I have been through, the rigmarole, the nightmares, the test anxiety, the spending over $1,000 on testing and books.
Oh my God.
This is what ultimately broke my back in teaching. Sitting at this table, countless hours, telling my kids, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time, I got to study. And because I was singularly focused, I had my blinders on, I was going to be a teacher. But in those quiet moments, I was like, again, I don't understand what I have to prove to the state of Florida that I can be a teacher that what does this test score show about me? It's showing me that, oh, well, he can't handle the classroom because he didn't get the right score. Well, why don't you judge me in the classroom and let me know?
Exactly. Exactly.
And it was hurtful,
Yep.
you know, and you posted recently on social media that you were going to try to go back to the testing. And on one, I was proud of you, but then I was also already concerned.
Yeah.
Because I know what goes into it.
Yeah. I mean, because I got tired of them with, it's like, hey, such and such school was going to hire you as head coach, but you hadn't passed the test yet. I was like, come on, man, keep telling me this lie. Let's keep going over and over this lie over and over again. Let's start being real about the system. Like, I never wanted to teach. I just wanted to be a head football coach.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. I got tired of seeing what Bay County was hiring, what they said was a great coach, and they get here and they don't know anything about our community, don't know anything about our kids, and they're just here to get a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the lines, they changed the rules and said that coaches got to have a teaching certificate. They really don't teach class. They have a weightlifting class, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got 3 degrees. Like, stop playing with me. And half of these guys, when they passed the teaching certification was given in a gym, and everybody had this little piece of paper, and they went off and answered some questions, and that's how they got their teaching certificate. Right. So now all of a sudden, oh, we gotta have this big standardized testing, we gotta have this. I want all my football coaches to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, let's go to a system that works for our kids. I only got into teaching because I wanted to be a head football coach. And then once I got into teaching, I love teaching because I love my students. And I said, hey, this is kind of like coaching. And I can get these students to do everything I get my players to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the niche in it. But the system is so flawed. Our governor now, Ron DeSantis, is trying his hardest to get that changed. He was like, yeah, there is a flaw in the system. If this test has a 30%, a 30-40% passing rate, something is wrong with the test. Something is definitely wrong with the test. And I mean, if I go teach a class at Gulf Coast State College for a year, I become a professor, I don't have to take none of the high school teaching tests. It bypasses everything. So it's always ways around it. But I'm like, why have the dumb test in the first place? Come evaluate me in the classroom. See if I'm teaching how I'm supposed to be teaching.
Well, I'll tell you why they did it. Dude, it's for textbooks.
Oh my gosh.
That's what makes me sick, is like they made that rule. Because look, you and I, when we were in the classroom, these teachers were taking these tests.
No, they wasn't.
They wouldn't have to do this every 3 to 5 years.
No, they wasn't.
You went to college and you got your college degree to be a teacher, and that was it, and that was all.
Well, that's the problem now. A college degree is not enough.
It's not good enough, because you got C-average teachers going on there.
Yeah, people don't realize the college. When I posted that this week, I said it's funny how I made more money without any degree. Now that I have 3 degrees, I make way less money. I was working at Pepsi and all these different places as a salesman, and I'm making $55,000, $60,000 a year. And then I become a teacher, and I make $30,000 less than what I was making without a degree. That is the problem. It's a flawed system.
And tell me how compromised that is. Okay, in your job right now, not to put you on the spot, but it's a great example. In your job right now, you're trying to get kids to go to college, but you just said right there that you don't need to go to college to make a great wage. You can make a better wage not going to college.
And listen, that's the cool thing about my job. A lot of students come to see me, and we'll tell them, hey, what do you want to do when you go to college? Are you just going to college because somebody told you to go to college? What do you really want to do?
Yeah.
I had a situation with a young man, of course I can't say his name, but his mom was trying to force him to go to college. I said, what do you want to do? And he's like, I really don't want to go, I really want to do that. I said, well, listen, there's some great programs in Haney. You can go right now, get into the welding program, and 9 months later, you're making way more money than I'm making.
Right.
I mean, well, really? Really, go? Yeah. Took him down to Haney, loving it. He's loving it. So I understand when a lot of people come to me, their main goal is not to go to college. Someone's goal is not to go to college. Let me get you and teach you a trade. Maybe you want to be a barber. Maybe you want to be cosmetology. Haney is like a hidden gem that no one knows about. Then, by me not being in one school, I'm able to visit all the schools.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, the biggest hidden gem in Panama City right now is Central High School.
I used to teach there.
Listen.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
This place is amazing.
It is.
The whole atmosphere, the whole thing. If a kid messes up, there's forgiveness. You come back the next day, and we forgot about it. We're not even talking about it. And you're working in a small classroom setting. You can't be bullied. You can't be picked at. I was like, for those kids that are struggling in high school, parents, please sign them up at Central High School and make sure they get done with it. I'm finding so many hidden gems.
I'm proud to say that I was part of the ones that laid the groundwork for that school.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm not there is it was budget cuts.
Yeah.
Because it was tough to get off the ground at that place. And I knew going in, I was one of their last hires.
Yeah.
And I knew there was a chance that I might not make it through the year, and I didn't. I was only there for a few months. They brought me in. They're like, "We really need you here."
Yeah.
I was an English instructor. I worked so closely with this one student, and he was in that area where he was getting too old in high school to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
Daenerys was his name, I think, and he was a student at Bay.
Mm-hmm.
He made some mistakes, got in trouble, and he came to me and he's like, "Coach, I just want to play. I just want to get on the floor. That was my dream. I just want to get on the floor." So I made it my personal objective to, I lobbied with Tallahassee for him. I made the phone calls, I did all the emails, and he just didn't get approved. He was just too old.
Yeah.
It just came down to a rule. But yeah, Central High School is a place that is a great option. It's not a goal, don't get me wrong, it's not a goal, but it's a great option for students if they run into whatever kind of issue it can be, emotional, mental, physical at home. It can be you're just not making your way in school.
Yeah.
And the premise of Central High School is great.
Yeah.
The mission statement of the school is great, and I fully support it.
It is amazing. I mean,
Fully support it.
especially for those students that want to drop out and that are tired of school. You basically can go for a half a day, or you can go later on in the afternoon at night. I think they have classes from like 12 to 5 or like 12 to 7. It is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
But by me not being tied down to one school, it's just amazing the places I go, the things I see, the knowledge I've gained now as far as helping students. And, you know, my ultimate goal now is like education. Yeah, everybody, I know you want to go Division I, but like I said, it goes back to, have you taken 2 foreign languages? Have you taken the SAT, ACT? Have you taken a PERT test? Have you done this? What's your math grades like? Have you knocked all of these different things out? We have all of these different things at Rutherford. They have IB. I think at Mosley has MAPS, and I think Bay High has ACE.
I think so, yeah.
I think that
sounds right.
Listen, I'm probably gonna make a lot of y'all mad, but I'm gonna say this: big waste of time. Big waste of time. The smart thing to do for a 9th grader coming into high school is to give them all honors classes. All honors classes are dual enrolled with probably Gulf Coast State College or whatever college they're designed.
Maybe Troy, yeah. Yeah,
North Bay Haven is tied in with Florida State. But if your kid starts taking honors classes, dual enrolled classes at 9th grade, they can graduate with their AA degree before they get their high school diploma.
Exactly right.
And think about it. You're in high school taking college classes. All of those classes are free. That way when you graduate from high school, you have 2 years left of college, no debt, no student loans, and you're out of there and you're in the career field.
That's a gigantic advantage.
I'm telling you, they are into a lot of these programs. They're putting them in because it looks good to have kids in IB. It looks good to have kids in MAPS and ACE and all these different things. But at the end of the day, if you put them in honors classes, dual enrolled classes, it would be a lot better for your student. A whole lot better.
And that's the thing, it sounds great, but at the end of the day, it's the student that's got to be motivated to go through that, to go through the sacrifice.
But I mean, I've watched a lot of them struggle in these different programs. Kids I know to be smart fail in these programs, like big time, because the homework is tedious.
Right.
And it's like, okay, why are you in this program and now you got like 3 Fs because you're in this program and now you're struggling about to be kicked out of the program. Your GPA is terrible now. Why are you struggling in this program just to say I'm in a program? It's the same thing to tell my friend. I said, why are you moving away out of town to go struggle somewhere else just to say you moved out of town?
Right.
You are struggling. So at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for me. I want to do what's best for the student. So put them in dual enrolled classes. Make sure your student has all foreign languages taken care of. Parents, foreign language is also Sign language. You would take sign language.
Yes.
Um,
And so many people don't know that.
yeah, sign language. 2 years of sign language. That's your two foreign languages satisfied. They don't get it. If you are born in another country, dealt with a young man the other day who was born in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So his first language is Jamaican Creole.
Mm-hmm.
It's not English.
Right.
So therefore he gets a waiver to go into college. He doesn't have to take a foreign language. They do not know this, and it's not being told. Like I said, I don't want to put it on the guidance counselors, but they are schedule makers now. So they just like, all right, I got 18,000 students at this school. I don't know all of their names. But I mean, why can't we hire more guidance counselors?
Well, let me point this out too. It's not just a problem now. When I was in high school, I remember my junior year, I don't know if it was all of us. I know from my story, I wasn't guided on anything.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s, so 1993 was my junior year in high school. It wasn't college back then. That whole industry hadn't blown up yet. It was, well, maybe if you do get to college, if you're lucky. It was always an if.
Mm-hmm.
I never, ever was asked to come speak to my guidance counselor. I never got any leadership on that. And I felt so failed by the time I got to the end of my senior year because I was just floundering in the wind. And I was a great student. I was an honor student.
How many students were in your school?
1,300.
Okay.
My graduating class was 350. I graduated ranked 50. I should have been ranked higher than that, but I got lazy. So through my own admission, I got lazy. I turned down so many honors classes because this was my retort to English honors, to drama honors, to government honors. It's like, is it going to get in the way of me playing ball? Yes, Mr. Ford. I'm like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So that's my fault.
Yeah, but somebody should have been telling you.
Somebody should have been honest. Yes, somebody should have followed up and said, hey, Ford's a good student. He wants to play ball. We got to get to him somehow. Never. And that still makes me upset, as you can see to this day, because my track would have been different. The first time I went into a counselor's office was at community college.
Yeah.
And I remember that meeting because I went in, I'm going to be a physical therapist.
Yeah.
I had been injured so much between my sophomore and senior year. I'm like, I know about the human body now. I've got so much PT. So I go in there, I'm all excited, first year student. She says, Mr. Ford, based on your entry test scores here, math and science seem like you need some work. I said, well, yeah, I'm not really good at math, science, I'm okay. She's like, well, yeah, but you're trying to be a physical therapy assistant. You're going to have to take this and this and this of science and this as math. I took one deep breath and went, yeah, that ain't going to work for me. I got to figure something else out. And I'd already been published writing at that point. So I had a backup plan.
Yeah.
And I was still trying to play ball. I still had a dream of playing ball. So I was throwing my tape out there to get noticed and everything. But that's the job of the counselor is to figure something out. That's their job. That's what they get paid to do. And a lot of us have been let down. And these kids even now are getting let down every day.
Exactly. I mean, I can tell you my guidance counselor at Rutherford, Mrs. Beasley, was my guidance counselor from 9th grade to my senior year. And we sat down and we had a plan from the start. And I got ineligible my 9th grade year because 9th grade was a shock to me. And I got to play the beginning part. No, I got to play the ending part of basketball. And from that part on, my grades never dropped anymore. My grandmother made sure of that.
Yeah,
but
that hand, right?
Yeah, Miss Beasley from the get-go all the way down had me set up for the T. My 11th grade year, I had already satisfied all my classes, and I was taking co-op classes. So I was going to school, going to work.
That is great.
And they just don't have those guidance counselors like that anymore. I remember us having a lot of guidance counselors because my class coming into Rutherford High School was like 900 students. I mean, Rutherford was huge. Man. It was like one of the biggest freshman classes to come into Rutherford High School.
Yeah, that is huge.
And but of course, then it was only 3 high schools here: Mosley, Rutherford, and May.
Right.
And it all came years after that. But they had us on a schedule, and we stuck to it, and it worked out. But I don't know what happened with the system. We got smarter. We figured out how to let computers do a lot of things. But I think we need to go through and start to figure those things out. Because guidance counselors can do some magic work when it comes to getting kids back eligible for sports. Because a coach can be persistent and be like, well, what if we do this? Or what if we put them in this class? Or what if we do that? And then if you're a parent right now and you're looking at your kid and they're like a sophomore or a junior, actually a sophomore or a freshman, and they got like 3 electives, something ain't right in the atmosphere. Unless they didn't take any PE classes their freshman year and stuff like that, or a sophomore year. But if they got those classes, they're keeping them eligible for sports.
Right.
And I want to keep my child college eligible.
Yes.
So like I said, getting into high school, I think about the next level. I think about college. So college is after this. And that's the guide that we want to have our kids on.
Well, just keeping it real. I mean, we're not, I don't want to pick on the occupation of being a guidance counselor. I'm sure there's a ton of them out there, like you said, that in your school that did a great job.
Yeah.
But to me, it would seem simple. So if I'm playing guidance counselor and I sit down with a student, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you want to do in your life?
Yeah.
And if they shoot back saying, well, I want to be an NBA player, I want to go D1. Okay, that's great. Let's put that over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the odds of making that happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm not going to do that to disparage you. I'm going to show you that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over here, what is your plan B? And if they say, I don't have one, let's start right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build that plan B, because these odds say that you're going to have that plan B.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that commercial that used to run on for NCAA.com. This amount of students will never become college athletes.
Yeah.
So what is your next step?
Yep.
It's student first before athlete. I know you've made that speech before. I made the speech a million times, said it just last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told Davis the other day, I said, you've got to understand that your only job is to be a student right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job.
Yeah.
And you have to take that seriously, just like one day when you get paid to do a job, you got to be accountable. So why, of all the jobs in the world that you have your whole life, would you not be most accountable for you? This is your life.
Yep.
What's more valuable than your life?
Yeah.
There's no paycheck out there that's more
It's gotta
valuable.
be important to them.
It is, and that's the thing that we get frustrated as parents and as educators, because you can't make a kid understand that. You can't take it out of here and put it there. I know we're stretching. There's 2 more things that I wrote down I want us to talk about, and I know you can speak on these. The first one is there's not enough funding for supplies for teachers, and then there's the room overcrowding.
Yep.
So you pick which one you want to tackle first.
We can talk about funding. Every year, I think each teacher has to do it. They put out a list of stuff they need for copy paper, this stuff to keep the classroom going. But and then some of the schools now, government funded, they starting to get laptops and stuff in. So they have these. My daughter has this little laptop from her school, and I always laugh at it. I was like, this thing is beat to death.
Oh yeah, they're garbage.
Yeah, and it's like, I just wish we could get all our kids, like, Apple is a gazillion-dollar company. Like, why can't every school have MacBooks? Because I believe in this. If you show kids better, they'll want better for themselves. If you show them bootleg crap all the time, they'll be like, okay, well, this is what I took to get by. At my beloved high school, I know a lot of funding is not there. And I just cringe, and I'm like, man, there's so much more out there, technology-wise, stuff that we can be doing. If we show our kids better, maybe they will do better, maybe they will act better.
It doesn't seem like there's any kind of grant writing process, and that's something I used to do. When I first broke into education, I worked for a school called Lighthouse. It was a Christian academy, and I was a grant writer. Mm-hmm. And I told Demi this story the other day, it opened her eyes a little bit. We were watching some, I don't know, I can't think of it now, but I actually wrote a proposal to Nike for athletic equipment for the school. Mm-hmm. And my email back, which came, 4-5 months later, said, we do not support Christian schools.
Wow.
Little known fact. I mean, and I love Nike gear. I wouldn't say I support them so much, but that's what fits me.
Wow.
Those are the shoes that fit me.
Yeah.
But there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that.
Wow.
And Nike has gone down in my standards the last few years with a lot of different things.
Wow. Nike's in trouble right now?
Oh, they stay in trouble, but they have enough money to make it go away. That's the thing. Nike has been in trouble since 1982. When they first broke out on the scene, because Adidas was trying to kill them, Converse was trying to kill them, but the athletes that they have in their stock are just so big.
Go Ducks.
There you go. Yeah, that's in fact, yeah, Nike's in trouble directly with Oregon Track right now because they're forcing girls to have eating disorders.
Yeah.
But yeah, the funding that I was talking about is, so we got reimbursed up to $200 last year. You get a check cut. Well, dude, I was $250 in the hole the minute I walked in the first day of school because of my artwork that I had on the walls.
Yeah.
I went to Hobby Lobby. I went above and beyond. I wanted replica Constitution and Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence, and the kids loved it. And that was just three things. I would have boom, boom, boom all around my room, and $200 back. I was like, okay, cool. I got the rest of the year now.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the red.
Yeah.
And that's not just me. Every teacher's in the red.
Yeah. I can't figure out though why can't the school like support those rooms. Like I feel like if it's a history room, it should be painting the history stuff. There should be unlimited stuff they have in the closet that we can put up or that we can go to. I feel like we just need better for our kids. I went to one school and the school asked us, like my fraternity, different sororities around town, to come in and paint a room.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it in your fraternity or your sorority colors or whatever you can do, but we just want the room painted. Mm-hmm. And why can't we get together as a community and do stuff like that? I don't think a lot of schools are as welcoming with the alumni. They need like an alumni association for like every school.
Well, not just that, but as I think about this and I say it with a smirk on my face, how many other occupations do you know that you can think about that they ask you to spend your own money to make your job better?
None.
Can somebody think of one? Because if you can, write it right now. But you ask teachers to do so much, you don't pay them a livable wage, and then you demand, well, if you want a nice classroom, it's got to come out of your pocket, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I still got to have enough money to pay my bills and keep the lights on and feed my kids.
Yeah.
But you frown on me if I don't spend $1,000 on my room.
Yeah, but you know, the funny thing about that too is like, kids know what you make. And they were like,
yeah,
you're hitting it bad, man.
And it's embarrassing.
They're like, where did your life go wrong that you became
Yes.
a teacher? And I feel like as a teacher, we are teaching the next generation. Like you're teaching kids to be doctors, you're teaching this, you're teaching psychologists, you're teaching that, and they're gonna go out in the world and get a degree and make way more money.
They don't want to be
than
teachers.
Yeah, and it's like I tell people, and they think I'm lying, but I said I really believe like the whole school system, as we know, it's going to be obsolete in about 5-10 years.
It could be.
I think everything is going to be taught online.
Well, people say there's a teacher shortage. I say, is it a teacher shortage or is it a choice not to teach?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we really talking about here? It's not a teacher shortage. There's freaking umpteen million people that can teach in a classroom.
Yeah.
But how many of us have been tested out of a classroom?
Think about it. I can hop off of any vending truck, Pepsi, the beer company, anybody, and make 2 times more than a teacher makes.
So why would you step back in the classroom? That's the thing. There's no motivation other than to be noble and say, I want to help the kids.
Yeah, it's the same thing with being a police officer or a firefighter. Why? Like, you have to genuinely want to help people
Yes.
to take one of those jobs. Like,
and you end up miserable.
Yeah. That's why I was like, they was like, well, we got to give police officers psychology evaluations. The thing is, pay them more money. More money will make them happy.
Money does help. It doesn't fix your problems, but it helps.
You're going out there risking your life every day, and you make pennies. Same thing when I had a chance, when I was graduating, I could have went to the military. I was like, this is what they make? Oh, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
It's the job fills where they say we need you, and then I'm the one saying if you need us, prove it.
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
It's not worth it. And then,
And then,
it's just not worth it.
and then you look selfish when you say stuff like that. Well, you're not in teaching for the money. Well, what are we talking about here? Like, it's like, what do you want me to attack? Do you want me to say that I'm being honest?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to say that I'm here for the children and that I'm just willing to sacrifice less money?
Mm-hmm.
It's like people want you to talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Once you think about it too, even in teaching, you think about how much insurance cost is.
Oh, it's
So
crazy.
for me to put my whole family on my insurance last year was $1,200 a paycheck. $1,200.
You can't live.
Listen, if I would have did that, my paycheck would have been about $400 or $500 when I got it.
Yeah,
I'm paying more insurance.
that's a grocery visit.
Yes. So there is a problem
That's a serious problem.
that needs to be fixed. And we struggle trying to get our own insurance and everything now. I'm struggling on my job paying insurance. It would be great if it was just me. But we're talking about $2,400 a month in health insurance just to pay for my 3 daughters and my wife at that particular time. $1,200.
I don't even. It just leaves me speechless.
Because they say it was a private school. I mean, it was a charter school.
Right.
There wasn't any with Bay District. And why is there so much difference when it comes to charter? Because, like, if anything happens to the charter school, Bay District takes it over.
Right.
So why can't they go under their insurance umbrella? Or why can't stuff be negotiated like that?
Again, it's political.
But people don't understand. They
Right.
always say, man, the charter schools got all the money and they're taking from the public schools. Like, no, they're not.
No.
Just for a charter school, and I know this, to go out and rent Tommy Oliver Stadium is going to cost them it's going to cost them $1,500 for the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to have 10 police officers, which that's another $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at about stuff you're buying for the stadium. You're looking at about $2,800 just for a charter school to use Tommy Oliver Stadium. Now the other schools don't have to pay for the stadium, and I know it has every school listed on the front of that building, but everybody that's listed on the front of the building doesn't get all the same equal rights because you're listed as a charter school. So it's jacked.
Well, there's already a bias against charter schools anyway.
It's definitely a bias. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a bias if I start mine because mine would be
Dude,
spectacular.
I have to say, that has me thinking sometimes. Tanya says, what's the path to correcting the salary problem? The first thing that I think of is it's like this. Anything that's in much demand, you need to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And teaching has always been failed when it comes to the representation that we have from state to state.
Mm-hmm.
Florida has always been in the bottom 4
Mm-hmm.
for education in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You stay 45, number 46. I couldn't believe I read just this morning that the state of Florida is the 3rd most dangerous in the entire country right now.
Mm-hmm.
But education-wise, we've always been in the bottom of the barrel. Now, there are parts of the panhandle that are ranked number 2 and 3 in the entire nation, but that's not the state of Florida as a whole. So Florida is already looked at as a low education state. That's one problem.
Yeah.
But can we look at it as possibly saying, okay, let's look at test scores state to state. Let's look at what is the education level of teachers.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? And it's got to be data-based. Because if we're going to be so data-based in judging the teachers on our evaluations, which we are, then why aren't we judging data as far as what they're making?
Yeah.
Because based on what we've already talked about, it's the only occupation where you are told that, and if you want things in your classroom, if you want teaching materials that are above curriculum, it comes out of your pocket, which is already not a livable wage.
Yeah.
So you talked earlier about how there's been a 3% pay increase, blah, 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 which is, I don't even get excited about that. That's like, oh, whoop-de freaking do. 3%? Well, let's talk about 15%, and then we're getting somewhere. A livable wage in the state of Florida for a teacher would be around $55,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not talking about that, then it's not realistic. And anybody out there who wants to argue about that, that's fine. I'll take you on head to head. Actually, I would tell you, why don't you go teach for a week and tell me that you don't deserve $55,000? And still, you're going to be struggling at the end of the year with that wage, okay? Because of the taxes that come out, because of the health insurance we just talked about comes out, and you're paying out of your pocket for your supplies. It could be in excess of $500 to $600 on the low end for supplies by the time the year is over. Last thing we got to get to, I know we got to run, is room overcrowding. This has been an issue that goes year to year as schools get bigger and bigger.
Hold on that 3% increase.
Okay.
That is $1,050 a year. Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo. That is not even a major bill. That's not a mortgage bill. That's not a rent.
Yeah.
Not even close.
That's grocery. And they're probably a light bill.
Yeah, for us, that's 3 weeks of groceries with the kids.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. Boom, gone.
Groceries with a light bill.
Yeah. So how many kids did you have, not just last year, but any given time? What was the highest?
In my psychology class, it got up to like 31, 32.
That's nuts.
It was only supposed to be 20 something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had 29 at one point, and I had other teachers coming in going, why do you have this many students?
Yes.
And I looked at them saying, yeah, why do I?
Oh, yeah.
Why do I? Because if you're asking me and you're a veteran,
yeah,
then now I'm officially scared.
Yeah, listen, I asked the same question. I would have a class with 28, 29 students in it, and then I get to fourth period and I have like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, man, let's fix this schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, I really need these kids to get it. When you're trying to teach that many kids in a small classroom from the get-go, it's hard. And then you want us to correct and fix behavior. It's crazy.
When you're crowding kids that if they do, and I'm trying to toe the waters here, if they do have a class that is overladen with IEPs, 504 plans, this is my biggest problem with that rule. When you and I were coming up,
Oh yeah,
it was, I hate to use this word because it sounds so bad, it was exclusionary. Now, I'm not using it as a negative connotation. I'm using it as the way we were brought up was those kids got direct one-on-one help.
Oh yeah.
I taught an ESE K through 2 classroom for a whole year, and it was eye-opening for me where we don't need to be ushering in kids who have that kind of special need with kids who are honor students.
Yep.
This is offensive to a lot of people, but I'm going to be, if you weren't in my shoes, if you weren't in Coach Ty's shoes teaching, when you've got honors kids who are bored out of their minds, and you've got other kids who need the help, and I was always willing to sit down with that kid and say, look, I'll do whatever I got to do to help you out. I was always the first guy saying, look, I'm sorry these kids are making fun of you. This is not the right place. I'll go out in the hallway with you. I will get so-and-so to come get you. We'll try to figure it out. I'm not saying, oh, we'll get that kid out of my class. Yeah. I'm saying the system is broken right now.
Yep.
You need to include everybody. No, we don't. We live in a society where, hey, I should be able to cross over that line. I want to be on your team. No, because my team is not cut out for you. And your team's not cut out for me.
Everybody gets a participation trophy.
Yeah, that's really what it goes back to.
Yep.
It's why wouldn't you give that kid specialized treatment when they need it, emotionally, mentally, even if they physically need a hug. A lot of these kids just need a hug when they're not using their strategies to calm down.
Yep.
I have had players that I've coached that just needed a hug. I just wrap my arm around them and say, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. It's simple, people. So why are we politicking around saying, no, we're in an inclusionary society, and if this kid over here feels like he should be there and the parents feel like they should be in there, I don't care what they feel like they should be in. What is it showing in their grades? Are they able to even turn in their homework? Are the kids just bullying them so bad that kid blows up? I mean, you've been in that classroom before.
I mean, I had a student that I was like, there's no way this kid should be here. But because mom and dad want the kid there, you can't turn them away. But it wasn't the best situation for that kid. And he struggled. I had a girl too, she struggled. It was bad. And, I want what's best for my kid. And if I know my kid wouldn't fit a certain mold, it's not going to work for them, especially when it comes to their learning. If they got any learning disabilities, I would not force my kid into that situation. A lot of parents are doing that, but I said it goes back to the I'm entitled to do this. And and sometimes, as educators, we need to say no. No, this.
Yeah, we don't like saying no.
Yeah, we need to definitely say no. And a lot of people are not in the habit of saying no. Because this parent can bring something to the table.
I know.
It goes back to Forrest Gump. Boy, your mama sure care about your school.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Tanya writes in again, she's like, Generation X wrote those laws. She's right.
Yeah.
She's right. And she also said, there needs to be a way to keep shame from being in those classes, but also excluding the ones that need more help. And I said, you're right. That comes from the top. That's administration. Hey, they get paid to figure those things out. Yeah. You know what? I'd love to be in administration, but they told me I need a master's degree and I don't have one. Yeah. You could be an administrator, Yeah. And I coached Tanya's son. He's a great kid. There were a couple times where he was having a bad night. He might have got sad about something, and I would literally just put my arm around him and say, dude, come sit by me on the bench. Let's just watch the game. He was a really good three-point shooter. And I was like, look, I know I can get you back in the game when I need you, when you're calmed down. I'm like, let's get your mind right. What can I do you need something to drink?
Mm-hmm.
I pat him on the back. I'd sit there and just, just be. Sometimes you just need to sit and be there with the kid. Or as they say, just be.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't need to say anything. That kid just needs to know that you got their back. So I had his back. I was like, look, okay, I'm going to put you back in 2 minutes. We're down 3. I know that you can get an open shot.
Yeah.
That kid just wants to know that you got confidence in him. And he was good. He was good after that. And so why can't we have those classrooms where those kids are getting that specialized treatment that they deserve?
Mm-hmm.
You should not be herding them in with other kids who, look, on their side, they didn't ask for that either.
Oh, yeah.
These kids have been told to achieve to the highest standard. So let them fly. Let them achieve. And so we're not stopping class over and over again for these multiple disciplinary issues and bullying that goes on at the same time. Because it's tough with kids who are so emotionally immature.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you've got kids who are special needs and sometimes they make noises, sometimes they have these nervous twitches that they can't help. Well, you've got Smart Alec over there in corner A, and you got another one in corner B who are like velociraptors.
Mm-hmm.
And they triangle up on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, you've got a class disruption. You're not teaching anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're a police officer.
You're definitely a police officer.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it gets me upset just talking about it because that was a daily thing, dude. It was a daily thing. And so then you walk around jaded as an educator. You get through the day and you look around your fellow teachers in the hallways, and they all look like this. They're just leaning on the wall, going, "We made it another day."
Yep.
Is that how we want to feel? I mean, did any of us feel really fulfilled at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And this is every school. This is school to school. This is not me picking on anybody. This is school to school, where the industry of teaching right now in America is so tired every day. You're so jaded. You're exhausted because all you're doing is chasing your tail.
Mm-hmm.
You get excited about the brand new year. Like, yes, I got meetings. I got free breakfasts. I got some bagels. I got some of this and that. And then boom, first day of school hits. You see the lay of the land. And all of a sudden it hits you, wow, I got to go through another year of this.
Yep.
That's not the thought that you want to have.
Yep.
But that is the thought that you have.
Yep. I mean, it's a tough situation. It is a very, very tough situation, and I just don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to make it better. I know just in middle school, I tell parents all the time, bullying is at an all-time high.
It really is.
The girls.
It really is.
I found out the girls are worse than the boys. You may be raising your child to be a certain way, and somebody else is raising their child to be another way. So we have to be careful what we teach our kids. Teach them how to respond. Teach them how to be better. A lot of us have sheltered our kids so much that they don't know how to socialize. It's a great thing to get your kids out there to socialize, and don't get them in a situation where they take stuff so personally.
Right.
Because middle school will spit them up. I think middle school is harder than high school.
It is, by far.
Because middle schools are trying to figure out who am I, what type of person will I be. They're trying to figure those things out. So it's definitely a tricky situation to be in. That was one of my biggest complaints, just the bullying that was going on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe parents were letting their kids have Snapchats and everything already, just some of the stuff that goes on.
And bringing their iWatches to class, too.
Yeah, in order to be a great parent, a good parent, you got to be nosy.
Yeah, you do.
I saw something this week with T.I., rapper T.I.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
He was on his podcast talking about how his daughter, when she was 16, even up to now, she just turned 18. The day after her birthday, he always takes her to the gynecologist. And I think what do they call the woman's?
OBGYN?
It's basically he's trying to make sure she's not a virgin. Make sure that she is a virgin.
We're talking about the hymen.
Hymen.
Gotcha.
Trying to make sure her hymen is not broken. And he was like, the doctor would come in and they're like, well, and he's like, all right, Deja, what he's telling you is you need to sign this paper so Dad can get permission to know if your hymen is broken. And he's like, so we checked. He was like, well, sex is not the only thing that can cause this.
Right.
Riding a horse, riding a motorcycle. He's like, nah, she don't do none of that. So go ahead and check the hymen, doc, check it.
Wow.
And a lot of people were so mad with T.I. And I was like, y'all are acting like he was, that's right, man, thank you, Naheim. So many people were mad with T.I. because they were like, that is an invasion of privacy. That is invasion. I was like, they're acting like he's down there checking it.
Right.
This one radio host, she went off and like, it is her right. He's trying to tell her what to do with her body and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I might be crazy as a daddy. Something might be wrong with me. And I was like, because I'm totally missing the point here. Yes, it's her body, but she is my child.
Exactly.
She stays in my household. And if I want to know what's going on with her, I'm gonna find out what's going on with her.
Mm-hmm.
But as a parent, I tell my kids all the time, you don't have any rights. You don't have them in my house. When you get older, you get on out and you have your own thing, and when you don't have to come back and say, Dad, I need.
We have privileges and we have rights.
Yeah, you have become an adult then, and you don't need Daddy.
Right.
And I can't go to your house and tell you what to do. But if you're staying at my house, I'm going to be a father at all times. I like how my voice changed right there.
I know. Get your daddy voice on.
To be daddy at all times. And at 16 years old, you don't have the right to make that decision. 18 out of my house, I'm still going to tell you what's right and wrong.
Yeah, you always will.
You have become an adult now. But they were beating him up because he was being a dad. And it's like, y'all fuss because the dad is not around.
I was just going to say that.
But now that dad is totally involved in the whole process,
Yeah, he's bought in.
yeah, it becomes a problem. And I'm going to be that dad that buys in. I'm going to always be nosy.
Mm-hmm.
If I come there and your room door is locked, you won't have a door on your, there won't be a door on the hinge. So I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to teach you about locking doors in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no privacy when you're my child, when I'm raising you. Now, I don't bother my older daughters. Kiki, that's Quisha, Taja, they do their thing. They're adults now. And anytime you don't have to come back and say, Dad, I need you. You are an adult.
Privacy comes with respect.
Yeah.
You got to earn that.
But Janaea is going to get fully, let me see your phone. I'm going through it. I don't understand why parents feel bad for being that parent.
Well, that's the day that we live in. And yes, I guess my generation and your generation, we have a part to play in that, where things broke down and all of a sudden everybody said, hey, this is my space and you can't come in my space even though I am paying any bills here.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
I've said many times, I've said, look, I am the law.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to hear any of this. That's assault. Number one, you don't even know what assault is. I'm teasing with you right now. If I come flick you on the back of the head, I'm showing you a love language. I ain't trying to hurt you. It's assault. I'll show you assault. Let's go out in the yard real quick.
Yeah.
Why don't you just run and let me catch you and run you down like a deer and a freaking lion.
I told my nephews, because I don't have sons, but there's always a point in every boy's life where he feel like he can be daddy. And I'm like Steve Harvey. I'm like, hey, you want the title? Come get it.
Exactly. You know where I am. You know where I live.
You ever want the title? Come get the title.
That's right here.
I'm going to teach you about grown man strength right now.
That's right.
Because when I grab you, it won't be pretty.
You want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
You want to beat the man? You got to beat the man.
Ric Flair, baby. Woo! Man, I think we should end on that note right there. I think we did pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Look, as always, we leave it open-ended. We always like to say that at the end of our shows, that we don't have it all figured out, guys. Mm-hmm. And we try to give you food for thought. Obviously, at work today, thank you, Tanya, for being so involved and give us some questions, give us things to think about. Wish you luck in your house recovery still. So glad to see you back in your house now. Please say hi to all your kids. And look, this coming week, everybody out there, be strong, be good. Coach, you want to have any parting shots real quick?
I want to give a shout out to my dad.
Okay.
John Steele and his wife Sharon. They always say I talk about everybody but them. So I want to give a shout out to my pops. I hate the storm has moved you way up in Alabama. I miss having our conversations and our talks daily. I miss my mom too, who had to move out to Bristol. Just being relocated. It's just hard. A lot of my family's not in Panama City right now.
Right.
So I just want to give y'all a shout out, and y'all watch. Y'all been watching the show, and y'all was like, you just never say nothing about us. But my dad is like my best friend. Love that dude. I'm glad I outgrew you. Because I couldn't have been 5'5" and talk as much drunk as I talk. But I just want to send a shout out to you. Love you, everybody today. Please, we're not picking on anybody. I'm just trying to tell you that the system is broken. It needs to be fixed.
Yes.
Get to the schools, check on your kids, look at their schedule, ask questions. If you have questions about the schedule, ask them. Log into your Focus. Just know if you gave your kid your Focus password, they can go in and change things such as emergency contacts. So if they skipping school or late for class, you're not getting those alerts because they have changed the number. Always keep those things private. But definitely log into Focus. I get emails from Focus daily, checking my kids' grades and checking those things. In order to be the best parent you can be, you have to be a nosy parent. Remember, there is no privacy in your household. You pay the bills, not your kids. Do not let your kids run you. You run them.
I'll say this, support your teachers, please. Support your teachers out there. They need the help. They need to know that you have their back. We've talked about this before too. If you're getting a phone call, that means your kid did something. If you get an email, that means your kid did something. Teachers don't pick on kids. Please stop that lie. That does happen sometimes where you have a rogue teacher out there. Okay, I know you've dealt with it. That's why I'm making sure to say there are rogue teachers out there who don't come from the same side of the tracks that we do in the educational system.
Yeah.
They do make it personal. That is not the norm. Please understand that's not the norm. Teachers are there to help the kids, support the teachers in every way that you possibly can. Coming up is the week before Thanksgiving, so everybody hustle out there. You got a short week. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. Enjoy that day off if you have it. Rest up and be good to your family. Be good to the kids. Be good to yourselves. You are enough. For Ty, I'm Dave Ford. Everybody, peace. We'll see you later. God bless you.